Which is better, making your stop loss and profit, cutting your trade on profit, you mean, or putting your stop loss in profit? It depends on the trade. It depends on where your entry is. That's the only right way to answer it, because you asking that question is very vague right now, right? Because it could be off of emotions. Like I can say either or, but like, what's the logic behind doing both? What's the logic behind moving stocks in profit, and what's the logic behind cutting your losses early or cutting your trades in profit? It comes down to your structure point. Like today, for instance, the way you want to view it is the same way you enter your trades. Based off your entry, is there a possibility that you're going to come up to grab liquidity again before coming down towards the next support? For instance, like today's target, we understood that, okay, with the liquidity you grabbed earlier at 2027, as you flip bearish, you do have room to come down towards 2018. But you have to be very mindful of the levels you have at 2020 and 2021, right? Those are the two things you got to worry about today. But overall, this liquidity should take you down to a minimum towards 2018. However, let's say, for instance, let's say the liquidity was only being formed here. Like, let's say it looks something like this, right? If this is the liquidity, I'll say, okay, that's a very small top wick. That wasn't that steep of a top wick. That wasn't that steep of a liquidity. If that's the case, then I'm only going to target 2020, because the chances of you ripping down past 2020 with this being a top wick is very low compared to if you were to grab a steeper top wick to drive down. So since this happened, we left runners. But if that weren't to happen, then we have to understand that, okay, there's a very low chance of us ripping past 2020. Therefore, at 2021, you want to manage risk and you want to close off your trades, which is what you meant by cutting your trade. In terms of like stop loss and profit, what I'll do for that is based off my entry. So if I were to have like a wick entry instead of like the middle of the candle, like this right here is the middle of the candle, right? But if I were to get a wick entry, let's say I got an entry right here, you could trade your stops in profit, because then you could put it down to like the flip, or you can put it down to like the top of the next wick candle in profit, right? But if you have the middle of the candle, then your chances of you surviving the runner coming down while not flipping bullish again is very low compared to if you have a wick entry. So it comes down to your entry, and it comes down to what was happening during that trade in terms of liquidity being grabbed. That will affect the way you manage your risk and affect the way you manage your trades, I'll say.